Our next inductee is Mr. Art Timmons, an athlete and builder in the sports of soccer and hockey, and our presenter is Joanne McDonald. Joanne, please.
That's all right. Don't move it away.
Okay.
I'm good, yeah. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I have the honor of trying to adequately represent the story of Art Timmons, a soccer coach extraordinaire, a St. Agnes boy who literally bled red and white. Art grew up playing soccer in Waterford. He played for St. Agnes High and coached the girls' teams there, as well as many others at Beck. For several years now, Art has been nominated as an honoree of this Sports Hall of Fame, and each time he graciously refused the honor, humbly stating, "There are many others who deserve to be done before me." But we persisted, and we finally got him to accept this honor 2 years ago. I can honestly say I've never seen anyone so glad for the onset of the COVID virus, which necessitated the cancellation of our banquets for the past 2 years. So humble is Art that he actually wrote up his own story for me to read, so I'm using a little poetic license here by writing my own prologue. Doing this presentation involves a certain amount of research of the honoree, so as I've always felt strongly that their story should be told to the best of our ability. So, don't worry, Art, I'm just going to meander back in time for a few minutes, then I promise I'll read your story exactly as you gave it to me. I also told him not to worry because the preamble is more about me than him. I count myself among the luckiest people in New Waterford. I grew up here in the 50s and 60s in a much simpler and quieter time. I was a gifted enough athlete to make the St. Agnes Girls High School basketball team, where I was coached by Jim Fox Chesson, a man who coached many sports teams in New Waterford. When I was in grade 10, a new young male teacher arrived at St. Agnes, and he too wanted to coach a sport. But all of the existing teams were already covered for coaches. So Art Timmons literally opened up the playing field by introducing girls' soccer as a sport. Well, the nuns went wild. "Girls playing soccer," they shrieked. "What next?" Art applied his vast knowledge of soccer to his coaching routine, and we girls were definitely the benefactors of that. Together with Johnny Gillis from Mount Carmel, they put together the first girls' soccer teams in the area, and the fight was on again. The natural basketball rivalry between the two schools carried over to the various grassy battlefields in town. I mean the soccer fields. It was also around this time that track and field activities opened up for all students as well, by none other than another honoree here tonight, Vince Gillis. In fact, I noticed that most of the honorees tonight are deceased. So I guess that means that Art and Vince are here as two living legends. I'll readily admit that I was not a great runner in those days, but my sister Debbie could run like the wind. Together, Art and Vince opened up different sports opportunities to many students who would not normally play sports. And I was coached by, the point I'm getting is that I was actually close by 3 coaching legends. Things I remember most about those early days of soccer include: we said a prayer before every game, which, believe it or not, was very reassuring at that time. We had practice every morning at 6 a.m., I'm not kidding, at the number 16 field, which was little more than an abandoned coal colliery at that time. I always thought that the reason for these early practices was that the boys' teams had all the other fields booked up, which was true, but there were a number of girls basketball players on our team, and Fox held practices every day after school, so Art had to get innovative with his practice times. I actually liked getting up and walking in the dark with my sister up 16 every morning. There were no drives for us. My dad was either working day shift or coming off night shift in the mines. I was also lucky to bring up my children into Waterford as well, which is a great town to grow up and live in, despite what people from other towns may tell you. Another big bonus for me was that after my marriage, I inherited Carl Marsh as a brother-in-law. Carl filled my head with wonderful sports stories. He was certainly the go-to person on this committee for stories about the honorees each year. Sadly, Carl passed away this past winter, so I'm flying on my own for the first time here. And now, without any further ado, here is Art Timmons' story, presented in his own words. I am being inducted into the Builders category of the New Waterford and District Sports Hall of Fame for a coaching career of 35 years. During those years, I coached various sports including baseball, hockey, basketball, track and field, and my major sport, soccer. I am a lifetime resident of New Waterford. I attended St. Agnes and Central, where I played soccer, hockey, and basketball. After high school, I attended Xavier Junior College in St. Avex, where I graduated in 1967 with a BEd degree, Bachelor of Education degree. I spent my entire teaching career in the town of New Waterford. I began coaching in 1964 when St. Agnes Men's Club asked me to coach Little League, the St. Agnes Braves. After 2 building years, St. Agnes Braves won the league championship. This was a local league of 7 teams consisting of 15-plus players per team. Back in those days, there were lots of kids who wanted to play ball. In 1967, I began teaching at St. Agnes. Since the boys' team had a soccer coach, I offered to start and coach high school girls soccer. Soccer was a popular fall sport for high school girls on the mainland. I felt New Waterford girls would quickly adapt to the game of soccer, considering the history of female athletics in New Waterford. It proved to be a good decision, as 5 years later, New Waterford became the first Cape Breton team to win a provincial championship in the sport of girls soccer. I believe that was when you were back at Breton Education Center. In the summer of 1967, a senior men's soccer league was organized in Cape Breton. The other inaugural teams were the Pier Ramblers and the Sydney Hellenics. I helped organize and was a player for the New Waterford entry, the Trojans. New Waterford won the league championship that year, the Cape Breton Post Bowl, and repeated the championship the following 2 years. In 1973, this Cape Breton league affiliated with senior soccer on the mainland. This was called the Nova Scotia Challenge Cup League. This was the top-tier men's league in the province and featured such notable teams as Halifax Olins, Halifax Shipyards, and Halifax Privateers. At this time, I was the coach of the New Waterford entry, the Strands. For 3 years, the Strands won the Cape Breton League Championship, and in 1974, New Waterford won the Challenge Cup, becoming the first Cape Breton team to do so. In 1970, Beck opened to serve as one junior-senior high school for New Waterford and area. I joined the phys ed staff, and for the rest of my teaching career, I taught in that department. During those years, I coached various teams at various levels. These included junior high hockey, track and field, softball, and of course, junior and senior girls soccer. During those years, Beck girls won over 15 Cape Breton championships. As mentioned earlier, in 1974, Beck girls won the Nova Scotia Girls Championship in high school soccer. This was the first Nova Scotia title won by the team from Cape Breton. In 1977-78 and 78-79, Beck repeated winning this championship. I only got a little paragraph left. I told you, he's very brief. In regard to school sports administration, for several years, I was the district coordinator for all school sports in the Cape Breton area and for the Nova Scotia Schools Athletic Federation. I also helped organize provincial and national soccer tournaments for Soccer Cape Breton. In conclusion, I consider it a privilege to have coached so many teams in such a sports-minded community as New Waterford. And so, without any further ado, I'm going to ask Art to bring his family up. It's my great honor to induct Art Timmons into the New Waterford and District Sports Heritage Hall of Fame. Finally.
Way to go, buddy. Way to go.
First of all, I want to thank Joanne for that introduction. I thought she was going to summarize those notes. But she even elaborated more than I had written down there. Seriously, I want to thank Joanne and the committee for being recognized as a coach in the builder category. I mean, to be a coach in town in Waterford and all the sports activities is an honor. And I'm very grateful for being inducted tonight. Back in the day, coaching soccer, I mean, today's coaches got it easy. They show up and they play. Back then, you had to do everything. I mean, you had to line the field, you had to put the nets up every game, you had to take the nets down every game, you had to mow the grass, what grass was there, it was mostly. You even had to raise money for uniforms. It went on. And one coach couldn't do it all by himself, and I had a lot of help. So I'd like to mention a few of those people that helped. I mean, in the girls' soccer, Meal and Flynn in the early years. Mary McNeil was a great help. She was with the team for all of the Beck years. Donna White and Carol Marsh both helped coach for a few years. In the senior soccer, George Demeter, he's looking at me down there in the bar. George Demeter helped out, and the late David Cuball McKinnon, he was a big help with the senior teams. But there's one person that helped more than any, and he was there for both school soccer and senior soccer. And no matter what you asked him to do, he got it done. And that was Michael Tatlock. He's here tonight. Michael just got home. He was at the Special Olympic competitions in Antigonish, I think. Anyway, he quickly told me when I called him today, he scored 2 goals, and they won the gold medal. So, Michael, congratulations. Last but certainly not least, I have one person I have to thank more than anybody. I'll give you a quick story just to demonstrate the support. We got married in 1971, November, 4 days after soccer season. So at the wedding reception, which was down in the old Eaton's building, St. Agnes Hall, Claire saw the soccer team walking in, and Claire said, "Your soccer team's here." And I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "I invited them." But I forgot to tell her that they were invited. So, fortunately, my mother was on the CWL, and between the women and Claire graciously accepted, we got 12 more servings out, and everything went well. But and that's just one example. There's hundreds of examples of how Claire was supportive over the years, and all that time away when you're at the field every night practicing and so forth. So my biggest thank you goes without a doubt to my most valuable supporter, Claire. Thank you.